Welcome. We're here today with ItsMoneyMark and Dan Theoc, the Senior Vice President VP of Mayberry Investments, IPO King, one of the best in the business, security dealer, investment bank. We're going to be talking about the Berry bond, the Mayberry investments. We're talking about the bond IPO. It's already open December 2nd. It closes January 6th. Very hot in the market right now, giving access to the average Jamaican to get in to the bond IPO. Dan, welcome to the show, to It's Money Mark. It's great having you on the show.
Thanks, Mark. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, how are you doing today?
Great, man. Great.
Yeah, are you going to be hitting up that Burna Boy concert, or are you going to be putting the money into the Mayberry bond?
I'll be putting the money into the Mayberry bond. No offense.
Yeah, no. I like that. I like that. So, tell us about this bond. It's the first of its kind I've seen, in my career or in the capital markets. I've been around for some time as well. But, tell us about it. What do you, think about it? I mean, the minimum is about 20 grand Jamaican.
20,000.
In my early days, it was always like you got to get in for $1 million Jamaican or 10 million Jamaican, run down to the central bank, get a primary dealer. So how did you conceptualize this, or the team at Mayberry, to come up with this? I mean, even we've been getting a lot of calls at It's Money Mark from all over Jamaica where people want to jump into it and they feel like it's accessible. So how did you create this innovation and security for the market?
Yep. So, at Mayberry, we're all about innovation. And the reality is we do tens of billions of bonds per year. There's, $400 billion worth of bonds in the market, but it's always for high net worth individuals, as you alluded to,
yes,
where you have to invest a minimum of 1 million J, have a net worth of 50 million, or be earning income of $10 million per annum. So this bond business, it's big business, but it's usually only for high net worth individuals. And so we see where the BOJ has been driving up interest rates, but the banks aren't passing on that interest rate hike to their customers with these large savings. There's more than $1 trillion in savings in the market, and these people on average are earning 1 or 2%, Mark, whilst the BOJ has rates at 8% for 90-day money. So, there's a huge arbitrage opportunity. And we decided, rather than doing the bond for the high net worths only, as we typically do, why don't we raise a bond and make it available for the ordinary Joe? So instead of the usual $1 million limit, the limit's only 20,000 Jamaican dollars.
So, Mayberry, you're going for $5 billion. It can be upsized to $7 billion.
Correct.
How much of the issuance is a refinancing versus is new funds, whether it's going to be for deals or, we know Mayberry is always kind of ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
But what's the kind of ratio there, or the mix?
So all new money. So this is not about refinancing.
All new money.
All new money. This is about growing our debt book. The fact that we have maybe $7 billion of margin business today. This is where we lend our high net worth clients money against their stocks or their bonds. That business is booming, and we just want to have more funds to grow that business. It's going to be secured, because usually we require 250% coverage for equities and 125% coverage for bonds. So this is Mayberry taking in $5 to $7 billion to on-lend to its clientele against good securities. And so that's what this is about, growing our business. Not about refinancing, about growing our business.
So when somebody in the market, like an analyst or just somebody out there, says, listen, Mayberry has done really well with selecting great companies, Carbon Producers, Supreme Ventures. I mean, they are there in this prospectus as some of your assets, your holdings. And someone says there might be a U.S. recession coming, and look, Mayberry has just consistently been ahead of the curve. So maybe are the directors, yourself, Dan, kind of maybe lining up this, although you do mention it's for, let's say, margin lending, et cetera, at a higher interest rate. So you are, hedging yourself there. But is there a major deal maybe on the horizon 2023 if there's some market pullback, another SVL? Is there another CPJ? Are you gearing yourself up for this as Dan Theoc?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, I mean, we do provide margin to our subsidiary MJE. So MJE has over $20 billion in assets, only $3 billion of debt. We funded $1 billion of that. So, it's definitely conceivable that we could push $1 billion towards MJE to make some huge plays. It's definitely conceivable that we'll also be using this money to help fund some of our private equity investment as well, too. So it's absolutely focused primarily on growing our debt book, but also we'll use it to do some private equity deals, perhaps to underwrite a few transactions, and absolutely, yes, to fund MJE so they can go and take advantage of what we think are some cheap stocks in the market.
Gotcha. And your executive chairman, Chris Berry, has said, your chairman has said before, the focus is Jamaica. There's a lot more market share here with this deal, with these potential new funds. Is there any horizon for the Caribbean or North America, or that still stands? The focus is Jamaica.
The focus is on Jamaican companies that can list on the Jamaican Stock Exchange, although many of those companies have a wide-reaching reach. So SVL, we're the second largest shareholder. That business is growing in Guyana and Africa and all over the place.
Yes.
And many of the other businesses for which we are associated with, we have a strong focus on businesses that have great growth potential outside of Jamaica. So we love Jamaica Broilers Group because 40% of their revenues is now coming from North America. I believe we're a top 10 shareholder there. So we're always focused on businesses that have great growth potential, although they're Jamaican businesses primarily.
So the domicile, the security is in Jamaica, but these companies can go, external markets,
They can be global. They can be global. And the domicile is CARICOM, because any CARICOM country can list on the JSE, but the focus is on businesses that have global reach.
And I like that alignment. That's one thing with Mayberry, you get the alignment, because Chris Berry, your chair, just said, you just snapped up 4.5 million shares of Jamaica Broilers. You speak about Jamaica Broilers. So you guys are cohesive then. And that's an important part about the bond IPO.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what you get from Mayberry is a company that has over 36 years of experience, primarily focused on promoting businesses in Jamaica, getting them to go public. We've listed more companies than all other brokers combined. So that's our focus. We're looking for private equity plays, and we're looking for cheap stocks to buy that are listed on the public market. So I think JBG is cheap. I think NCB is cheap. I think MJE is relatively cheap. So we are looking to continue investing in Jamaica, which is what we've been focused on for the last 36 years.
And that's the experience and wisdom with Dan Theoc talking about the lower PE ratios on the main market as a little bit of a side note.
Yep.
And coming back to the bond IPO though, the minimum, 20,000 Jamaican, and something like, what is it, tranches of 10,000 Jamaican?
Increments of 10,000 thereafter. And I think we have a little bit of something for everybody. So there are 4 different tranches.
Right.
So depending on the...
it's like 9.25% to 12%.
Correct. So tranche 1 is for 13 months, 9.25%. Tranche 2 is for 18 months, 10%. Tranche 3 is for 24 months, 11%. And tranche 4 is for 36 months, 12%. So depending on your investment horizon, those are the 4 tranches we have. It will be publicly listed, which means you could sell it on the open market if you don't want to wait till full maturity.
Which market, that's some of the questions in the market. Which market is this going on? The main market, the junior market, like the private bond market? That's hot. Which one?
The main market bond market. So this is new. Remember, we're saying this is innovation.
Yeah.
There are only 3 bonds that trade today. And this will be the 4th bond, but this one will be publicly listed. So there's no selling restriction as you do have with the others, which were originally private exempt.
And so you want to get, especially for the average investor, the small investor, you want to get them some liquidity, just in the event, although you want them to hold it to maturity.
Correct.
But just if they want to trade.
Correct. The idea is you can buy a 36-month bond at 12%. I'm going to bet interest rates will be coming down in the next 12 months, 6 to 12 months, which means that bond will trade at a premium. And someone might be able to sell that bond and make a profit. And
your marketing team really, and Mayberry, you've been so innovative, because it's almost like a meal deal, a big deal. You have this 9.25%, you have a 12%, you have this. So the guy, the lady can come in and just choose what they want to buy.
Absolutely.
10-year interest rates.
Absolutely. And we are really fixated on making a market for bond market. I mean, in the North American market, bond trading is a big deal. In Jamaica, we have over 80 equities, but only 3 bonds.
Yes.
And they don't trade. So we want to make sure that this market becomes active to help folks with liquidity and to make bond trading a thing. It really is a big deal. We see all of the big banks doing it. But it's not available to the average Joe.
To the average.
And we want to make that available to the average person.
And you really read the market, in my opinion, accurately, because interest rates are really, 0.5% policy rate at BOJ to now 7, can go higher. But you've kept the 10 years shorter and sweeter in a way. And the yields it's a nicely priced instrument, well put together. And you're really seeing your research, your marketing, your board, your management really come together with this one. I mean, again, what do you allude that to when you look at the size of Mayberry overall compared to some of the bigger competitors out there? You're staying in your lane, but this is a really innovative product that really, somebody else out there would have said, we should have done this before Mayberry did it.
Big giants are like elephants and they can't turn. We like being relatively small and nimble. When we first promoted the junior stock exchange, a lot of people thought, like, what is this?
Yes.
What's the point of this?
Yeah.
We'd only had 40 listed companies on the main market. You'd have one listing every 3 years. We promoted the junior stock market 10, 11 years ago, and now we've had over 43 listings in that period, and it's created tens of billions of dollars of market capitalization. We've made thousands of people wealthy and taught folks to invest in the stock market. Same is true with the bond market. Our idea here is, yes, we're raising money for ourselves, but it's to create a bond market with instruments that are trade and have great liquidity that give people the opportunity to take advantage of this interest rate arbitrage opportunity.
And it's a great point. So do you see, just as you did, as you mentioned, Mayberry, junior market, 2009, you've still dominated the listings there overall. A few broker dealers have come on stream. Are you now seeing, this bond market as, the stock exchange launched it, but, so you pioneered the junior market, but are you now seeing this actually as, with what's happening with macroeconomic conditions, interest rates? Of course, it's your secret sauce. We're here today. But are you seeing this as potentially something else to pioneer, just given the economic landscape?
Absolutely. So, we're leading from the front and doing it ourselves, but conceivably, I could be back in 2 or 3 months' time to do this for another client. And the idea is,
Got you.
Yes, I just raised, $4 billion in 1 week for a client, and we targeted only high net worth individuals, but we want to demonstrate that, hey, we can raise that $4 billion for you through a public offering. We don't have to be focused only on the high net worth individuals. And the issuer, the company that's raising the money, should be indifferent as to where the money comes from. So
Yes.
What we're trying to do is promote the open market to create more wealth for more folks. That's what we're really focused on.
And you're hitting it on the head. So what you're really saying is what Mayberry does different, Dan, and yourself and the team here is really, you do it yourself. You lead by example, and then eventually the client says, well, if my broker dealer is doing it, then it must be a good thing. I can jump onto this. It's not just I'm getting advice or investment advice or some advisory, but you have done it yourself. The junior market, now you're into the bond market. Is that kind of somewhat of the modus operandi?
100%. It reminds me of the Wigton listing, which brought in the largest number of shareholders from IPO when we led that process and said to the government, we can do this and target the masses, so to speak.
Yes.
We don't have to get it underwritten by the big banks. And so that's what we're trying to demonstrate once again with this $5 billion raise, which is relatively small when you consider there's $1 trillion worth of deposits out there in the commercial banks earning less than 2%. So I'm just going after 5% of that market and saying you don't need to have your money earning 2% per annum. You can put it in a bond and earn 9 to 12%. And still have the liquidity if you need that money back after 3 months or 6 months, sell it back in the market.
How often, how frequent is that coupon? Let's just call it, the rate, the interest rate. But how often is the investor going to get that?
Right. So the interest rate frequency will be quarterly for all 4 tranches.
So
interest
every 3
is paid
months.
every 3 months.
So once they got a stock brokerage account at Mayberry, any stock brokerage company that offers that service, or a JCSD account, Jamaica Central Securities Depository account, they can come in and apply for this.
Yep, that's correct. We have 4 or 5 participating brokers. So whether you have an account with Mayberry, SSL, JMMB, Scotia Investments, or Proven Wealth, and hopefully soon to come Burrito.
You're getting the memory there going. I like that, Dan.
Once you have a brokerage account with any of those 5 or 6 persons, you can typically apply completely online.
Okay.
With as little as $20,000. I've had folks write me a $220 million ticket, so we don't differentiate whether it's $220 million or $20,000. As soon as we get to $7 billion, we're going to lock off. It's open until December 6th, but we could close earlier. We're getting there, reasonably quickly.
January 6th, yeah.
January 6th, I beg your pardon. It's open till January 6th next year, but we could close early if we end up being oversubscribed. But the idea here is to make this opportunity available to everybody who can come up with as little as $20,000.
And when you read this prospectus, Mayberry Group getting larger total assets, different Mayberries. Who's the actual issuer for this deal? Mayberry
Investments
IPO.
Limited. So it's
Mayberry Investments.
the publicly traded company, Mayberry Investments Limited. They're the ones that are raising this bond.
Beautiful.
They're the issue on record.
Right.
And they'll be the ones that on-lend that money or invest it through their subsidiary MJE. And so that's what this play is about. It's, we think, a great opportunity for folks to provide them with a fixed income earning opportunity that's far more attractive than interest rates or having the money under the mattress. And it's also a good asset class. I mean, you want to have some real estate in your portfolio, you want to have some equities, and you want to have some fixed income, both US dollar and J dollar. If you can earn 12% Jamaican dollars, you're way ahead of earning 6% US.
I like it. Dan, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
It's great having you on ItsMoneyMark. I'm looking forward to having you again.
I look forward to coming back when we're finished so I can show you how we did it.
Listen, the best way to kick off the new year.
Sounds
having
good.
Dan Theoc, Senior Vice President, Investment Banking, Mayberry Investments, ticker symbol, MIL, on ItsMoneyMark. It's great having it. Listen, bond IPO, still in the market, coming on hot and heavy. ItsMoneyMark here with Dan Theoc, Mayberry Investments. It's a great time.